May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Poobah, Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, doing our bit to help preserve the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths cross his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today we have a guest, Ted Howell. Actually, it's Ted Howell Part 1, because Ted and I talked a long time, and I cut it in two. And then we talked again, and I tacked that onto the end of Part 1 because he was referring to things he'd said earlier in Part 1. And Part 1 ends right with him first coming to Zen Center. So we have a very exciting wait to see what happens next week. Ted came to Zen Center in the mid-'70s. He's known these days, years later, to say the least, as the plumbing grid guy for Tassajara. He goes there during the spring and fall work weeks and has been doing so since back in many, many years ago. And he talks about it some. He's been involved with upgrading the plumbing system, the toilets, and so forth. He's an advisor now. He and I have been in touch for a long time. He is a subscriber to Cuke Archives, and which I heartily, and he heartily recommends that you do too. All you have to do is go to Cuke.com, ShunyuSuzuki.com, hit the donate button, and it'll give you the opportunity to become a subscriber for as little as $1 a month, or make a one-time donation with PayPal, credit card, check. So anyway, let's just hear what Ted has to say and get on with it.
Then I decided to move closer to Page Street. So I found an apartment on Waller Street, a few blocks away towards the Haight.
Yeah.
And my friend Will helped me move out of my group apartment that I was in not a group, me and another guy at roommates, but me and Will and another friend of mine would hang out in that apartment all the time. He painted a huge mural on the wall. And I helped him. It was very symbolic and everything. And I had lots of enlightening experiences in this wonderful apartments. It's on Broadway. It's still there. I've driven by it to see. We were on the third floor, bay windows facing Mount Tam. And I can remember like deep spiritual experiences looking out at the sun setting over Mount Tam, in this apartment. So I have a lot of gratitude for that apartment. But anyway, he helped me move out, moved in by myself into this one-bedroom apartment on Waller Street, listening to Alan Watts a lot at the time, reading Alan Watts, reading poetry too, Gary Snyder. And I was also fancying myself as a poet. I have many journals from over the years that my wife just found in a bag in the attic, and I've been going back over them. And so I was writing, and I would sign up for classes at Page Street. I don't know if I took a class with Philip. Yeah, I did. I took a class with Philip somewhere in that era.
Philip Whalen.
Poetry class. Yeah, Philip Whalen. And David Schneider was in the class, I believe. And I was, in over my head with him because I was not nearly as erudite as my fellow classmates in terms of poetry and what's the
Oh, just
but
like you experienced at Juilliard,
just like I experienced at Juilliard. Yep.
except you weren't in a situation that was where it mattered.
Right.
Except maybe to
But
your, you know, maybe it mattered to you,
my
like was a
yeah.
little embarrassed or something, but didn't matter.
Right. It's really, I mean, my all my writing is really interesting because it shows some of the what I was reading and studying and stuff like that. And I've got these somewhere in here, and I I tried to do sketches, and here's a sketch that I'm showing you that nobody who's listening can see, but I think you might recognize that person. Do you recognize that person? And I'll now tell you who it is, but I'm going to
Well,
ask you if
well,
you know.
well, 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 well. Let's see, who would that be? Looks
Oh,
familiar.
come on. Am I that bad? Oh, well, okay. The quote underneath it is write something, stay in practice. And that's Philip. Now, this is when I was
Oh, so
taking
that was Philip.
that was Philip in that sketch that I did.
Yeah, yeah, I
Good.
can
I
see
was not
that.
much of an artist.
I can see that.
Um,
Ah,
um,
good. Hey,
and it says on the next page, what we're saying is much more entertaining than what comes out on paper. Let's talk.
huh, huh,
I don't know if that was Philip or me. I don't know. I can't remember.
ah.
Um,
So how
but
much do you have that you've written and drawn and all that?
I don't know, about 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 little books, something like that. I continued that on into Tassajara days, but so I'm living there on Waller Street, going to Zazen morning and night. One day I was coming home from Zazen in the morning, I believe, and where I lived was on the edge of some tough neighborhoods, and
Projects.
right sort of projects, Haight Ashbury, a lot of street action going on. Waller's like 2 blocks down, it's like a side street or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking home, and group of guys, and I might have had sitting robes by then. I don't recall. But a group of guys, bunch of black dudes, sort of were about a block or so behind me, and they started following me and harassing me, yelling at me and stuff like that. And I tried to stay. I remember because I said, okay, I just gotta stay present, calm, just keep walking, go towards my apartment. And they started throwing bottles at me. And they were behind me. And so all of a sudden I've got incoming, right beside me and that sort of stuff. And I remember it was like a very intense kind of moment for me to stay present and calm and not fuel the situation.
Right.
And not engage it, and yet not ignore it. And I've never been like, I'm not a fighter or anything. I got beat up in high school. I got called, in high school, the football kids would. I joined football once, and it was at the opening meeting when the coach said, kids, they all say that it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And everybody's there in the room. And he said, that's not true. It's whether you win. And I thought to myself, I don't think I want to be here. So I went back to my dad and I told him the story. And I said, I don't want to do this. And he wasn't a football player either. And he said, that's fine. I understand. So he didn't push me into it.
Yeah.
He was my Boy Scout leader. To go back a step, he was my Cub Scout leader and my Boy Scout leader. So my discipline was Boy Scout, Cub Scouts, and Boy Scouts with Dad, who was a staff sergeant from the Air Force, who was a very strict guy, teaching me survival and camping and values and stuff. I was actually inducted into something, and that's a very important aspect of my training, was something called the Order of the Arrow. Have you ever heard of that?
Hmm. Well, I might have and forgotten it.
It's an adjunct to the Boy Scouts of America,
Uh-huh.
and it's a Native American influenced thing. I looked it up, and I can't remember now how it managed to get started. But it's Boy Scouts come from England. The guy who started, Howell, I think was his name, started the Boy Scouts, and then it migrated to the United States. So it's an English tradition. But when it got to the United States, this Order of the Arrow thing was created. And it's an exclusive group where, so like you get inducted into it, like you're at a scout meeting and you're all standing in a circle, and we're going to induct some kids into the Order of the Arrow. So in come the leader of the Order of the Arrow, the local chapter, who was probably my dad, dressed up like a Native American with a staff with like bells, walking slowly, going, dunk, dunk, very, very similar to Buddhist with a staff.
Yeah.
Oops, I gotta make something go away. There we are. And you're standing there in this circle, and they come along and they go around the outside of the circle behind you, and then they stop behind somebody. And then they go bump right on your shoulder with a hand. They go bump, bump, bump. And then two people come to your side and grab your elbows and pull you out of the circle and take you away. And like two of us or something are inducted in that meeting or that session or whatever it is. And then we have to go to an induction weekend where it's at a camp somewhere. And they say the things that we're going to do, the values that we're going to instill in you, and this is the hazing or whatever it is, the induction. We're going to eat frugally, so they're not going to feed you very much. And here's a bunch of young boys who are hungry, and we're going to be silent, and then we're going to be introspective, I think is the third one, and they take us out in a long single file. We're all quiet. We can't talk, and it's night. It's dark. We can't see, and we're in flashlights, and we don't know where we are. It's not a territory that we're familiar with, and we're in this single file. And then the leader of it stops, and then he says to the kid that's right behind him, the first in the row, he says, "Down there," and he points down the hill a little bit. And you scramble down there with your sleeping bag and your backpack, and you're supposed to bivouac there, just in the dirt and trees and bushes. There's no place to sleep, no tent or cabin or anything. And then the procession goes further until you can't hear them anymore, and then he drops another kid. So we're all dropped way separated from each other, and we have to spend the night in silence. And in some sort of, we're supposed to contemplate something. I forgot what it is. And we spend the night by ourselves, taking care of ourselves. And then in the morning we get up and they come and pick us up and gather us together. And then we have to work. And we're given very little food. And we're in that area, there's blueberries. And I remember my father came up to me and said, "Look over there." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Those are frugal berries, because we're supposed to eat frugally." So he called these blueberries frugal berries. And ever since then, I've called blueberries frugal berries. because you're so hungry and you really want to eat. And he was pointing out to me that there's a source of food and you can eat frugally. And, he's turning the words, a little pun going on there.
Yeah.
Uh, so anyway, I was inducted into the Order of the Arrow, and I found some of my Order of the Arrow memorabilia in that storeroom. I rescued some of it. I'm going to see if anybody, well, I think it still exists, but anyway, I launched off onto a side note.
Oh, that was good.
That was a lot of that was kind of coming up for me at that moment when I was being harassed on the street, some sort of presence of that. So I moved at some point. I decided that I would like to live in the building. So I applied to live in the building. And
what
I got
happened with
accepted.
the guys throwing bottles at you?
Oh, what? Good point. They ignored me. I wasn't any fun. I don't know. It just stopped.
Uh-huh.
I just continued on, and they didn't continue. They didn't further the attack. I was very lucky. And this was somewhere around the time that Chris Person got killed.
That was 78.
Yeah. Let's see. Where's my little notes? Okay, so this was happening in like 75, 76.
Uh-huh.
I was working at the Bank of America still, so I was right. But the neighborhood was not that much different between 75, 76, and 78. In my estimation. But so I don't know. I think I moved into the building in 75. And somewhere in there. So I missed Suzuki altogether. I never, there was no crossover. So the person that, I show up and the teacher is Zentatsu Richard Baker. And so I hustle down to the bookstore and buy his picture and put his picture on my altar.
Oh my God.
They sold a picture of him, it's like, this is because you're supposed to put a picture of your teacher. According to Be Here Now, you're supposed to put a picture of your teacher on your altar. So that's what I did.
I never did that. That's very interesting.
So then I said, well, how do I be a student of Richard Baker? They said, well, you got to sign up for Dokusan. And so, okay. And I wanted the sitting robes. So I said, how do I get those? And I got together with Diane Burr.
Right.
And she took measurements and stuff like that. And she said, you got to go buy the material. And I said, okay. And so I went and bought black raw silk. I did some research on what I wanted to have. And raw silk was durable and good for all different kinds of weather. And so I bought just enough black raw silk for her to make a robe out of. Apparently, according to her, I was unusual for having selected that. I mean, I think she said, yeah, you can get whatever you want. So I did. And she made a very nice sitting robe, which I no longer have. I don't know what happened to it. I outgrew it. I know that. I mean, I outgrew it horizontally. Not vertically. In fact, I probably shrank since that time.
Yeah,
but
I have. I just was at a hospital, and she said I was 5'8". It's hard to believe. I used to be almost 5'11".
Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then at the doctor's office, they make me stand under the thing and measure me. And, it's like for years and years and years, what you are, like how tall you are and how much you weigh.
Yeah.
And so I was always 5'8", 160 pounds. Well, now I'm 5'6" and 180. So
Yeah.
yeah, it happens. So so I go and see, Richard Baker, and I sit down in front of him and say, I would like to be your student. And I'm scared to death. And he said, well, tell me about yourself. And so I told him I'm working at the Bank of America, and all this time I was actually continuing to study the Alexander technique.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just about to go into the official training program to become a teacher of the Alexander technique, which was going to be my career. I mean, I was a mail messenger. That's not going to make me a lot of money as a career.
Yeah.
Um, so, although I enjoyed that job quite a bit. Um, and so I'm sitting there talking with him about, who I am and stuff. And at one point I said, I'm studying to be an Alexander teacher. And a few moments later, he seemed to be like in samadhi or something. And he sort of slowly opened his eyes a little bit and said, why not study to be a Zen teacher? And I was stunned. And he said, I'm not saying that you can be a Zen teacher, but why not study to be a Zen teacher? And I said, okay. So I don't know, that was 75, 76, somewhere in there. And, at that time, you didn't get to see him very much. He was all over the place.
When you
And
say didn't get to see him very much, how often?
I don't remember having maybe one other Doksan with him while I was living in the building,
Well, how long did you live in the building?
which is just like a year,
Yeah. So you
because
had
he
two. You
then,
had two in a year.
yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere in the summer of 77, he asked me to go to Tassajara.
Yeah.
Um,
And wait a minute. So you stopped studying to be an Alexander technique teacher or Alexander technician?
technique, Alexander technique. Yes, a technician, Alexander technician. That's right. That could be said that way.
You
Well, I
stopped?
was still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I was still studying and stuff. And then I was at the point where it was a decision, basically. Do I go to the Alexander training school full time?
Oh, I see.
Uh, or now all of a sudden this Zen dude is asking me to go to Tassajara.
Oh, I see.
Uh, and so uh, I, and I was still I mean, I don't know. I was doing what the teacher said to do. I mean, that's the mode that I was in.
Yeah.
Uh, and, I didn't see him that much, and he rarely told me to do anything. So he said, I'd like you to go to Tassajara. And I said, okay. And so all of a sudden I, told the Alexander people, well, I guess things have changed. And my father was going to like help me pay for the tuition at Alexander school and stuff like that. And, all of a sudden I got to tell dad, I'm going to go to the Zen monastery, you know, and, and he's still trying to find himself. He's over in Connecticut trying to find another partner and working at General Electric. And, he wasn't terribly overbearing or had some idea about what it was I should be doing. Um, and I think he was happy because I got a full scholarship to Juilliard, but he paid my living expenses there. So, he was supporting me quite a bit. And he's not terribly wealthy. So I think he was happy that he no longer had to pay for me to do things. Um, so now all of a sudden I'm packing up all my stuff, giving away my albums to my friend Will and my other friend Francis, and giving away possessions and getting my life down to a few boxes in a backpack and all of that. And as far as I was concerned, I was moving to Tassajara for the rest of my life. And I, I I didn't know. I had no idea. And so I wound up in the fall of 1977 going to Tassajara and
Hmm.
sitting Tangario and uh, living, following the schedule. I was in, as I recall, I was in what is now, I don't know. I think it might be what's currently, I just heard you talking the other day, a podcast you did with a person that I don't know because we didn't cross paths, but Renshin Bunse.
Yeah.
And she said that she had a picture of some flowers in front of the Shika Shack. And you said you didn't know what the Shika Shack was.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, I don't know what the Shika Shack is. And I was just there in April. And I've decided that what she must be referring to is what we call the cabin crew cabin now.
Yeah, but those things would change through the years.
Well, now it's pretty much consistent for in the last many years that I've been going down there. The
Which one?
cabin, let me see, cabin one, the first cabin on the right after you cross the bridge is now the director's cabin. So Leslie's got a space in the back on the backside on the creek side, and in the front is the director's office, and on the other side is on the other front corner is the staff office where the computers are and they have staff meetings and
Uh-huh.
that sort of stuff. And then on the backside of that is another room that I think they use for Doksan or something, I can't remember. Like online Doksan, people doing online, which happens nowadays.
At
And then the next
Tassajara.
cabin is,
They do online
yeah,
at Tassajara.
yes, people who are students. Let's say you're a longtime student of Paul Howler's, and you're going down to Tassajara to do whatever, but you still want to have Doksan with Paul Howler, who doesn't live at Tassajara. You can do online Doksan with Paul Howler
Wow.
because people now at Tassajara have a number of different teachers that they're not at Tassajara, but they're there to
Wow.
train at Tassajara with the blessing and encouragement of their teacher.
Wow.
So they do, you sign up for it and all of that kind of stuff, and you have, a private online Doksan with your teacher.
Hmm.
Um,
The more
so and then
that,
the
like
next,
when Suzuki was sent by his teacher to Rinzai Monastery, I think it was Ryutakuji, Gempo.
Mhm.
Was he Gempo? Yeah. His teacher told him, now you're going there, you got to be his student, do what they do, forget about
Right,
it, right?
right,
So that's
yeah, that's not what's
interesting.
happening these days. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, there's Leslie's the abiding teacher at Tassajara, and Mako is there a lot, but it's not like the model. The model hasn't transferred. It's not like we have an abbot now at Tassajara, and that when people come, they're the students of that abbot.
Uh-huh. Fine with me.
Well, it's fine with me too.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting evolution
Right. Right.
of the model.
Right. Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the next cabin down on the right side is cabin 2. Is that right? Damn it. I'm getting confused.
Well,
No, I
yeah.
think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cabin
that's
2
it.
is
And
another.
it's
The first 3 cabins have 4 rooms and 2
right. So
sides. Right.
right. So one of them, the 2 front corners that are on the path side are permanently the linens, the sheets, the toilet paper,
Uh-huh.
all of that kind of stuff. There's no people in them. But I think there's the rooms in the back they're living in. People are living in. I always have to look at the map. So many times I've been there. But anyway, but I lived in one of those cabins that is now like the Shika cabin. And at the time, it was like there was a front room and a back room and a bathroom all the way in the back.
Right.
And the people in the front room, there would be two people in the front room, two people in the back room. We all four had to share that one bathroom. And so I lived in one of those cabins. Jim Phelan was one of my roommates. Um, do you remember Jim Phelan?
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about him. I don't know what happened to him exactly. Uh, that's the lovely thing about listening to your podcast is I get to catch up on all of these people and put the puzzles together, the pieces of the puzzle, like, who people are, and people mention who they are, where other people went places and stuff.
Yeah.
Ellen. Oh, what's the other? Ellen and this guy, this couple, short woman with like had a vision problem, or one of her eyes was lazy. Her name was Ellen. She had a partner, a male partner. I always liked them, and I've never found out what happened to them. Anyway, I lived in one of those cabins, and I was on general labor, as everyone is. Sat in Tongariro in the old stone zendo. I distinctly remember hearing the sound. I guess, how was it? How could it be that I think David Schneider sat Tongariro with me? Is that possible? I think could be, because I remember, because he was quite a swayer when he sat, because he slept when he fall asleep, he'd sway forward quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And I distinctly remember hearing the sound of his head hit the rocks.
Yeah. One side had a stone wall. The front side, the front side. Yeah.
Yeah. I sat Tongariro in front of the stones, and they're still there. Sometimes I walk by them and I try to find the place, because you get to know those stones pretty well when you're sitting Tongariro looking at those stones. I would wake up like inches away from the wall, but my torso is not as long as David's. Centimeters away from the wall. So sleeping was a big issue for me. Being sleepy, I could not get myself to stay awake. And it's funny, I feel like I wasted all those years fighting and chastising myself for sleeping. And since then, I've discovered that sleep is a door. Sleep is a gateway. Sleep is a Dharma gate. And that the division line between sleep and consciousness, and there's, of course, yoga nidra, where, conscious sleeping, lucid dreaming, all of that good stuff. I wasn't aware of any of that stuff back then. And I think I missed an opportunity. And I was so upset with myself that whenever, the name has escaped me. The person who carries the Kiyosaku. Junko, yes. I was going to say Jundo, but the Junko, whenever the Junko would come by, I put my hands up and ask to be hit. Because I needed it. And sometimes I was so sleepy, I would ask to be hit and ask to be hit. And then you were allowed to, I discovered, you could just keep asking. And they would sit there and
without them moving on?
Yeah, without them moving on. You just go back to the other side. Oh, okay, back.
Well, that's new to me. I never heard of anybody.
Really?
Wow.
Well, maybe I invented it.
Yeah.
Well, I got myself beat up. I on purpose had myself beat up because I wanted to beat the crap out of me to wake me up. So anyway, sat Tongariro in the Stone Zendo, and then 77. So when I first got there, that was right after a big forest fire, the name of which I don't remember anymore. So it was a moonscape of ashes around us. And I would go out on days off and hike in the ash laden landscape, which was fascinating. When then all the wildflowers came up the next spring. When did the fire happen? When did the Zendo fire happen?
78.
78. All right. So that was in the spring of 78. So 77, 78, I didn't even leave during interim. So
Huh.
that was and you were encouraged not to as a new student.
Oh,
So
is that right?
um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, so
sure.
complete retreat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I was there 77, 78. I think it was in the spring of 78 that they put me in the kitchen, and I wasn't a cook. Um, I had no experience with it whatsoever, so I learned to cook at Tasahara, and I think I ended up being in the kitchen from there on out. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, well, in 78, oh no, oh yeah, 78. Well, somewhere in there, I was on. I was working with Frank on plumbing. I was introduced to plumbing at Tasahara too. I remember there used to be a septic tank. Oh no, that goes further on because it was after the new Zendo was built. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. There used to be a septic tank under what is the Ungawa now on the new Zendo, and it got clogged one time. So this is further down in the timeline, but
There used to be a
the
septic
inlet
tank where the
under
new
the walkway,
Zindo is?
yeah, it was in
No.
the upper garden. Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
You mean just for those two cabins up there?
Yeah, yeah,
There used to be
hmm
three cabins up there.
yeah,
I mean, we moved one of them in like 68 or something. But
hmm
so there was,
right.
yeah, of course, there was a septic tank
Phil,
for them. I
yeah,
never
it had to go
thought of
somewhere.
that.
Yeah, Philip stayed in one of those cabins when he was there. Philip was at Tassara when I was at Tassara,
Oh,
and one of
nice.
them he stayed in one of those cabins because he had a wood stove, and
Oh, yeah.
it was a little more comfortable for him. People would go hang out with him. Yes, David Schneider was there then too because David would hang out with him. I would go hang out with him a little bit. Um, and I remember one time Frank was in charge of clearing out the inlet to that septic tank, and we had work meeting. You Ted go work with Frank, and what's the job? Well, the inlet to the tank is clogged, and it's like a pipe that comes in at the top of the tank and turns downwards, and it's clogged right where it turns downwards. And I said, well, how do we clear that? And he just looked at me and he didn't say anything, and he rolled up his sleeve. And what he was telling me was, we stick our hand in there and we reach up in there and we clear it with our hand. And so that's what I did. And that was my initiation into plumbing,
Yeah.
where I plunged an arm, it's kind of like plunging an arm full length into a cow or something like that the first time that
Uh-huh.
you're on the
Uh-huh.
farm. Um, you know, what do you do then? Wash your arm. So uh, so I worked the oh, and I remember the first time I got out of Tasahara for an interim, and I went to visit my friend Francis, who it was a buddy from high school that had moved to the West Coast, and he was living in Oakland or San Leandro or something like this, and we were going to take some acid, and because he had some acid, and I'm there on break from Tasahara, and all pure and clean and all of this kind of stuff. And I said, okay. And I said, let's do this. And I made a schedule because I had been living a scheduled life. You get up now, you do this then, you go to work here,
Yeah.
go to the baths. Um, and which is what was attractive to me about that be here now thing. There's the schedule in the back of the book. So I had done enough acid to know, like, okay, we're going to take the acid and it's going to take this long to come on. And, and after that, we'll do this. So I actually scheduled our trip, just sort of hypothetically what was going to happen. And so we were going to sit meditation while it was coming on. And then we were going to do something else. And then we were going to Francis would take a bath while Ted listened to music. And then we'd switch, and Ted would take a bath while Francis listened to music. And then the two of us, we'd take a walk to the store where we would buy whatever. And and I had it all timed out, and we would do it, and then like the natural breaks, like you're done with your bath and you come out of the bathroom, and the other person's just finished the album of, I don't know, John McLaughlin that you had headsets on and you were listening to, this fantastic music while you're tripping on LSD. And you come out of the room and you've been in these two different worlds and you see each other and you go, oh, right. Wow. That's right. We made a schedule. Let's look at the schedule. We go look at the schedule. It says here at 10:30. My God, it's 10:30. You know? Now we do this. And for me, it was like, I'm done with acid now. I don't need to do it anymore. I understand it. I can schedule it. That was my last trip. And since then, I think I've done some MDMA and some mushrooms.
You mean ecstasy, right?
Yeah, ecstasy. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, MDMA.
I think they're the same thing. I think they called it ecstasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I think ecstasy was MDMA. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that was an interesting experience. And then in the September of the 78, I was working in the kitchen. I think, practice period was just getting started. And I went to haul a big block of cheese into the walk-in, and I slipped in the walk-in, and my knee bent sideways, and my kneecap went off to the side. And it's a congenital defect that I have. It's happened to me. It kept me out of the Army, because it would happen to me in gym class and stuff like that. But it actually did not keep me out of the Army. It was what was going to keep me out of the Army. But like 2 months before my draft lottery was going to happen, they ended the draft. And so I didn't have to do that. But my plan was to get a medical referral based on my knee. And my father was all supportive of it, even though he had been in the military. He was a tail gunner in a B-24 out of Italy over Germany, flew the complete round of missions, 24 missions or whatever it was. Didn't get shot down.
Wow.
I started watching that. There's an Apple TV special about those guys that I started watching, but it's a little difficult to watch. And he never talked about it very much, but very, very tough. But anyway, he did not think that he never was, like even in his later years, he would say to me sometimes, people come up to me and say, thank you for your services. He said, I didn't want to go. Don't thank me for something I didn't want to do. He joined the reserve to try to not go. But he went, and he was an interesting, mix of conservative and yet not, and managed to get along in the conservative world without actually buying into it. So anyway, he wasn't pushing me to join the military, and and I was anti-Vietnam War and all of that, and he was not, he didn't think I was terrible. But at any rate, the knee went out, the worst it had ever gone out, and I had to go back to the city to get some treatment. And somehow, somebody at Zen Center arranged for me to get surgery in a hospital. I was on whatever Medi-Cal, we were all on state medical coverage, but I was put up in a hospital in Larkspur with a doctor, and his last name was Blum. And I think he was related to Diane Feinstein's Blum.
Yeah, she was married to Dick Blum.
Right. I think it was that family. And Yvonne was involved somehow.
Yeah.
And because I remember Hillary and come on, Richard's daughter, who I just saw,
Sally.
Hillary and Sally showed up to visit me. I didn't know them that well, but they were, I don't know, they were probably assigned to go visit the Zen student in the hospital. And so they came to visit me. And I was in this great room where there was deer outside my room and stuff. And it was another one of these burning events for me, because it's like I remember the anesthesiologist came and said, "Okay, tell me all the drugs you've taken." And it's like, wow, this is like a confession. And because normally you don't just tell some stranger, "Well, I took this and this and this and this," and a lot of it's illegal. But I realized that I have to. This is important, because it's about what he's going to do with me. And that was the beginning of what I call my hospital practice, where I felt that hospitals and monasteries are related. They're dealing with life and death, both of them. And birth and death are taking place in a hospital, and there's some sense of reality, some facing of things as they are, that is taking place in a hospital. And that is what we're investigating in a monastery. And that's where I began to consciously take on this hospital practice. And it's things like, well, first of all, like if anybody's in the hospital, I like to go. I want to go visit. And I pay attention to the sounds and the smells, and like what's on the ceiling is important to me, because when you're in a hospital, you're on your back a lot and you're looking at the ceiling. So I try to look at the ceiling, and I decided I want to familiarize myself with hospitals. Most people, when I'll say to people, I like hospitals, and people say, "You're crazy. I hate hospitals." And I said, yeah, that's what most people say, is I hate hospitals. They make them nervous or uncomfortable, or, I don't like them. There's just something about them I don't like. And I decided I need to change that in myself. And one thing is I think that it's not uncommon that we wake up in a hospital. We're just doing our thing, and then boom, we're in a hospital because X, Y, or Z happened, and we don't know how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
We fall in a trench while we're walking down the street because a motorbike went by.
I had that happen to me, exactly what you just said.
I know, that's why I said it. I know, like my friend Will had a car accident, wakes up in a hospital.
Wow. Well, I didn't wake up in a hospital, but incidentally, I feel like you do about hospitals. I mean, we don't want to go there, but if we go there, I appreciate it. I've always felt the same way about dentists.
Right. I went to the dentist today. I got to do dentist zazen. I like it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Dentist samadhi.
Yeah. No kidding.
So when I was a sales rep, I'd drive around in my car and go call on people. And for lunch, I'd sometimes stop by a hospital and go to the cafeteria, just to go into the cafeteria of a hospital and to be in the hospital. And every time I go to any medical appointment, they give you this plastic bag that says patient's belongings on it. And, you take off your clothes and your keys and everything, and you put them in the plastic bag. It says patient belongings. This is name and room numbers. I collect those plastic bags and I carry them with me. And they're my laundry bag sometimes. They're always in my luggage. They're in a bag that I have at all times. Like if I go to a hospital and I've got my bag with me, you don't have to give me the patient belonging bags. I already have one. I'm ready.
That's great. That's great. Well, some hospital, I mean, like in Fort Worth, I spent time in a hospital in my mother's last days. Oh, it's the hospital where I was born. And she was only there for a week. Oh, I couldn't believe how good the food was down. I mean, their cafeteria downstairs was incredible, and the choices, and it was a beautiful place.
Yeah. So I've decided that I want it to be such that if I wake up in a hospital, I'm going to sigh with relief and go, "Oh, cool! I'm in a hospital," and and not be afraid. And I've often thought, Bernie Glassman inspired me to think that somebody should do a session in a hospital where you sit in the waiting room, you do kid hint in the halls, that sort of thing, so that you're present. Because, like I said, it's the fulcrum of life and death. The local hospital here. Every time a baby is born, they play a little baby sound on the entire sound system. Some sort of little nursery rhyme thing or something.
Yeah.
They don't play something when every time somebody dies, but if you hear that little baby thing, you could in your head imagine there's a dead one going on right now too. So.
I was in at one of the traditional villages here in Bali. People before the onslaught of other people coming, 800 years ago or whatever, and there was a thump. We had a guide, and there was a thump, like from some Han, a wooden board. And he said, that means somebody just died.
Oh, wow.
In their village.
That's great.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, in their village,
Yeah, in the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing
that
was cool. One thing I want to say about the hospital thing that I never worry about, but I think you'd have trouble getting support for going to a hospital when you don't need to, because people catch things there just by being there.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
you true. Know. And I never worry about that, but,
Well, when it comes to like the decision for me to get surgery included that concern.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get surgery because you go in for a routine procedure that is maybe, this is a robotic assisted surgery they're going to do. It's not like open cavity. But, Alan Sanaki went in for a routine procedure and didn't work out so good.
Right.
And, it was totally unanticipated, and so there's what you would call exposure to some liability of infection or some other, who knows, you start screwing around with my organs inside and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I want to go and travel and do a few things first, because it could be the goodbye tour.
Yeah.
I'm not being, morbid about it, but it's realistic.
Yeah, no, I understand. A couple of things come to mind. Like I had a hernia operation, and one thing that makes hospitals here pleasant for me is the cost.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's why you're there.
I mean, this is totally modern. Everything's totally modern. And I had a private room with a big screen TV and hotel room service, and it was $50. $50 for the private room.
Right.
And Katrinka had dengue and was in a hospital for 4 days. Now, I was in a public hospital. She was in a private one. She had a room, had a couch and a desk for me so I could stay with her during the day. There was a juice bar, nice restaurant downstairs. We could have lived there. But please continue.
No, I've heard your stories, and it makes perfect sense to me. I don't. Will maybe I'll move there myself.
One other comment:
Mm-hmm.
babies shouldn't be born in hospitals.
Oh, I understand. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my
Well, I
two
don't know.
sons
I
weren't.
mean, well, my son was,
Yeah,
and it turned out to be a good thing. Uh, because his mother, Antoinette, went into distress.
yeah,
And the reason that she was in a hospital is because of her age. She was a little old for childbearing at that time. And it ended up being a C-section.
hmm
Not the kind of like the doctors got to go to play golf. Come on, let's hurry it up. But not only actually, it was my son that went into distress
mm.
because he wasn't coming out. The cervix wasn't dilating, or it had started to close back down, and the sensors were telling the doctors. I was there, and we were hoping for a natural childbirth,
Yeah,
but no, they had to say, hey, okay, we got to make a decision now, and so it was like an emergency. And if we had been at home or in a if that wasn't an immediate option, it could have been a problem.
yeah. Now,
So
Kelly was born at Green Gulch in that room right above the kitchen. There's
right,
right,
yep,
and
yep,
but to qualify for a home birth, you know, they try to rule out every possible. If you show any
yes,
signs of there are going to be any problems, they won't do it. And
right, right,
and we knew what distance we were from Marin General. Now Clay was born
yeah.
in a birthing center in Japan.
Oh,
They're really into
oh,
it. You have every option
right.
there, and that was
Oh, that's
they would have
cool.
been
That's the
prepared
best.
to do a cesarean, and it was just a
Right.
birthing center, and we had a room. We stayed there for a couple of days afterwards. They had classes for mothers, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Yep. Well, so that was the genesis of my hospital practice. I went back. They had to do surgery on my knee and do stuff, take cartilage out and things like this. And so I was disabled for a while. So they Zen Center put me at Page Street. I got a room at Page Street, and Tasahara's practice period had just begun. So I spent maybe a month at Page Street, just following the schedule and recovering, hobbling up and down the stairs. Imagine that now, with crutches and getting myself down from upstairs all the way downstairs. Now there's an elevator, isn't that great? But all the way down to the Zendo and propping myself up on cushions and a leg, and I wasn't in a cast, but I couldn't bend my knee in a way I could sit cross-legged. So, but I
Hmm.
was somehow sitting on a zafu. I didn't sit on a chair. I remember that, but
Huh? Wow!
um,
Really?
yeah, I mean, I could have, I think, but maybe I was young. It was, you know,
Huh? Very diligent of you.
yeah. So I stayed at Page Street for a month or so, and then I hustled on back down to Tassajara. And I don't remember what my job was, but probably in the kitchen, sitting on a stool chopping vegetables. Um, and I became Fukuten. So, let me see. I was there 77, 4 practice periods, 77 through 79. So 77, 78, and 78, 79. And then I was a guest cook the summer of 78. Yeah, that's correct. It was guest cook the summer of 78. So I must have been Fukuten in the spring of 78. and then they made me guest cook. Diane Burr was my Tenzo,
Hmm.
who became dysfunctional at some point for some reason.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she was having a hard time. She was one of these people that we would call a thumper, meaning that Zazen was triggered a lot of physical reactions, and they would jerk around a lot and thump their leg on the Zabuton, just
Oh,
randomly,
oh,
out of control. I think Ed Brown had that
oh, did
at
he?
some point.
Yeah,
That's just what I was
for a few
told.
years. Yeah, he was the
Oh,
most
oh,
extreme example of it. And
is that right?
yeah, and if there wasn't anybody else, there was just him. And I don't know. After that, I thought maybe people got the idea because of him, because it would pop up. However, I saw it in Japan too.
Yeah, I think of it as something that is just like a known thing that happens to some people during Zazen.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I never thought of it as, well, why are they doing that, or you should get over it, or anything like that. And in fact, it was. I mean, it didn't bother me in the Zendo. Um, I just knew that it was happening. That's Diane.
yeah.
But she was having other. I mean, maybe that was a surface level. Anyway, I basically became kind of Tenzo because of that. Because as time went on, I was taking over more and more. Although, Tenzo is different now than it was then. It was not as much administrative as it is now. And I don't think I did as much like town trip buying, planning, and stuff like that the Tenzo has to do. I was more an actor, make it happen.
Well, somebody had to do it.
Right. Somebody had to do it. So, I mean, that's my training at Tassajara, was that whole kitchen practice, which pulls you out of the Zendo, puts you in a whole different schedule. It's like you're in your own world.
Yeah.
It's a whole different sangha that you're practicing with. And I appreciate it quite a bit. I mean, I learned to cook really. And, and I've just spoken to and, read about, and, talked to Ed, that whole business of what's in the refrigerator. I can make a meal, I don't need to follow recipes.
Right. Right.
I learned food inside out, basically.
Right.
And I completely appreciate that. I had a great experience as a summer guest cook. So I was summer guest cook 78, 79, and then I went to Green Gulch 79, fall of 79. I was told to go there. Got transferred by the company.
Before we go to Green Gulch, they were transferred.
Yes.
Did anything striking happen while you were at Tassajara?
Well, the Zendo burned down.
There you go. What was your experience of that?
Well, I was going to tell you about my enlightenment experience, but I think the Zendo burning down is better.
No, you can do both.
I didn't really have an enlightenment experience. I did have a moment I did have a fairly significant moment sitting at Tassajara where I realized I came to some sort of realization that I was no longer striving for enlightenment.
That's good. There you go, man. Gold star.
Yeah, it was like a relaxation moment.
Yeah.
But the Zendo burning down was what you said, 78, spring of 78. And we were in the stone Zendo, and I was at the back of the Zendo for what's that ceremony called? Chosan? We're
Shosan.
asking
Shosan.
Chosan?
Shosan.
Chosan.
Chosan is morning
Chosan.
tea.
Morning tea. Oh, I see. So san.
Like Chosan
San.
morning tea with the abbot or with
Got it.
officers and that sort of thing.
Right. So we're all asking questions, taking turns, and I'm in the back of the Zendo with Joel. I can't remember Joel's last name. And I'm 2 or 3 questions away, maybe. And then Joel and I hear something. We're standing up towards the back where the entry is, where the door into the Zendo was, between the kitchen and the Zendo. And we hear something, and Joel and I look at each other, and he turns and goes to the door, and I'm sort of right behind him. And he opens the door and sees the flames and turns around. I see the flames, and he turns around and says, "Excuse me," really, really, really loud. "There's a fire out here." And I wrote this all down at the time in one of my journals, and I sent it to you.
I probably have it online then.
Yeah, you do. I sent it to Alan Block and you said you gave it to Peter Ford to put it somewhere.
On the fire page. We should check, make sure that happened. Peter is
I never looked.
Awfully dependable and thorough. A podcast with him just went up yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I want to listen to it.
Yeah. But
anyway.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I mean, it's there's a fire out here. People start running. People are in shock. I run out there with Joel. We're all in robes, which are not good firefighting clothes, and we grab a garden hose and try to do something, and it was like obviously ineffective. And I remember Meisner. What's her first name?
Elaine
Meisner was there too, and trying to help with the garden hose. And I think I eventually ran down. My it was in 2, so it wasn't very far away. So I went and changed clothes. And I think Baker Roshi said something to me like, "You have a camera?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Go get it." So I took pictures, but I don't know what happened to them. I've never found them since. And I remember standing out next to the window. The Tenzo's desk used to be on the northeast corner of the Zendo, next to the path.
Don't say northeast. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay.
I have to stop and think. Actually, I can. The creek flows east.
Closest to the dining room.
The creek flows east. Right.
The creek flows east and west. Right, west to east.
East right. Is downstream.
East is downstream. So anyway, the Tenzo's office was on the corner next to the path, closest to the dining room, furthest away from the Zendo. So I'm standing there next to. Yeah, it's not there anymore, but the Tenzo's desk was there.
Right.
And all the books were there and stuff.
Right.
And at the moment, we did not know whether or not the kitchen was going to go. And so we're standing there. I'm standing there with Baker Roshi and I don't know, somebody else. And Baker Roshi says, "Break the window so that we can get the books out." All the cookbooks and stuff like that. And so I am just jacked up, and I grab a rock and I throw it at the window. And he said, No. Calm down. So I remember that he was very present at the moment, and I was just, not there. I was not being present. So that was kind of oh, okay, right. And then I slowed down, and we got all the glass out of the window, and we started pulling things out. But I don't remember what. I think I just sort of ran around and took pictures and helped where I could. Um, and I don't remember what else. But anyway, Zendo burned down. So that was memorable. Um,
You don't have,
and other than,
a number of people I've talked to about it, and I've got a ton of this on Cuke.com, right? There's a whole section on fire at Tassara.
right.
You don't have anything to say about whether, well, for one thing, there wasn't any water. The firefighting system was non-functional. The fire hoses and everything, the fire pumps, it was all not working.
Right. Yes. Well, I remember lots of bucket brigades, and correct, the fire hose system was not working. I was there. Okay, so this was in the spring after the horrible flooding winter where the road got washed out. We would have to go up the road and do, a town truck would come down as far as it could. And then a bunch of us were up the road and we would hand brigade food and supplies over gully washouts and stuff like that the truck no vehicle could pass in order to get all the supplies in. And we were doing, that's when I bought my Helly Hansen rain gear, because we were doing round the clock flood watch in teams. So I spent a lot of time in rain gear, a lot of time. I was a young, capable, virile guy that was, doing all the hard work type of stuff for, that winter, fixing stuff and that kind of stuff. So that winter was a very memorable winter, and then it culminates in a memorable spring where we burned the Zendo down, and
What
and
do
then
you
the
think?
fact that we,
What do you? All right,
yeah.
go on.
Well, just that we just kept on going. We just, okay, we're going to sit in the dining room now, and this keep the schedule going and keep cooking the food and keep,
Right.
whatever.
They went
Now we're
out
going
and
to
did
build
a
new
shopping
Zendo.
trip that night.
Right. That's what I
Right.
don't remember that, but I'm told.
That's what I recall. It's on that page.
Yeah.
But also the ceremony picked up the next morning.
Right. And the next day we picked it right up.
Right. That's great. And yeah. Do you have any opinions? I mean, you're around all these people that saw things about the cause.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm because I worked in the kitchen and I knew that area, and I know those propane refrigerators. There was a walk-in down there.
Yeah.
There was a basement, right? There was like a downstairs walk-in, and the propane refrigerators. There were like 3 or 4. They had names, like people's names that we called them. I can't remember. I think they were female names. Go put this in Claudia, something like that. Or maybe they had Zen names. I don't know. But go put this in Dharma. I don't know.
I think Claudio sounds better.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I have no doubt, because I would be down there frequently and smell propane, and I know what propane is and does, and it puddles. And you get one. It was a dumb move to have these refrigerators in that pit. That should have never happened, but I didn't know that at the time.
Why? Why?
Because natural gas is lighter than air and rises. Propane is heavier than air and puddles. So if you have a propane, you never ever want to put a propane thing in a hole, a pit of any kind, because if it leaks, now you have a pit full of propane and propane fumes, and they are highly flammable. And right above that layer of propane is oxygen. And all you got to do is get the right mix of oxygen and fuel and a source of ignition, and you're toast.
What was the
You have an
source of
explosion.
ignition?
Pilot light for the refrigerator.
All right. So you had a leak in the line?
Must have been.
Yeah.
I mean, we had all the ingredients.
Yeah, and you had the another thing that some people thought it might have started in the Cheatham area, which was right there. In other words, the place where there's
Oh no,
candles and
I was
incense.
right. I know, and I know the Cheatham area, and it's right there next to the entrance to the Zendo. But I was standing next to the Cheatham area when I saw the flames coming up the steps.
Oh, but the Cheatham area wasn't downstairs?
Down in that hole, no,
Oh, well, then definitely it didn't come from the Cheatham area. I don't know.
no,
All right.
not that I remember. I don't. I
Oh,
mean, why would you put a Cheatham area down in that hole? It was the
I.
walk-in and the food storage and the dry storage.
It's just because there was some speculation, obviously erroneous,
Yeah, because
that it
there's
came from the
candles and
Cheatham
stuff.
area. So I assumed the Cheatham area was down below then.
Right. No, I remember the Cheatham area kind of clearly because I mean, you'd come out of the Zendo in that space between the kitchen and the Zendo with your Cheatham things, you know, the incense stuff. You're not going to walk all the way downstairs to, clean stuff. There was a whole little workspace, just like there is on the current Zendo, out on the Ungawa, out on the walkway. There's a Cheatham area, and that's where you trim the candles and sift the ash and all of that stuff that Cheathams do. Um, so no, I would bet that there's no way, and I know because I was standing right there when I saw the flames just roaring up the steps. So I would say 100% it's got to be the propane. But what do I know? Not a forensic.
Well, you do know something, and you were very convincing. Ah, all right.
Good.
Hmm.
I want to tell another story
Yeah.
of being a guest cook, and I'd gone to Green Gulch for a winter, but they brought me back to be a guest cook for another summer. And so I was a guest cook. I don't know which summer this story happened in, but there's a recipe in one of the many books that we referred to a lot at Tassar at the time called the tomato potato casserole. And it's slices of potato and slices of tomato and some bechamel and some cheese. And it's a nice little casserole. And I don't remember what book it comes out of, what recipe book it comes out of, but as guest cook, you pick your menus and you write up your recipes and you multiply them out by how many people you're going to need to feed, and you make chopping lists for people to chop your stuff that you need, and how many and stuff. And so I did the whole thing, and I made my tomato potato casserole, and I'm pulling them out and I'm putting them the casseroles on the trays as those servers are standing there at the big table in the kitchen, ready to take them over to the guest dining room for dinner. And I think I remember Michael Wenger was one of the people that was the servers. There's, as you know, there's a dining room crew that comes in and grabs the food and delivers it all over and serves it. At the time, we were doing the whole fancy tablecloths and napkins and stuff like that. And every table would get their casserole and side dishes, and you plan it all out. And I'm working on, I don't know, plating up dessert or something like this, and the server comes in with a casserole, puts it back on the table, and says, "It's not done." So, well, really, I poked at a few, and I'd done the timing right, and take the temperature and everything. And I tried this one. I said, "The potatoes aren't done. They're kind of hard." I said, "Wow, geez, that's a problem." Oh. Then pretty soon, another server comes in with a casserole, and another server comes in, and another server comes. None of them were done. I don't remember how I had to scramble. What the hell? Come up with something. You got to feed the people. I don't know how I did it. I don't remember. I did feed the people somehow. And I also put all the casseroles back in the oven to keep on cooking. And they took forever. And I did some further research, and I learned that you can't cook raw potatoes alongside tomatoes because the acidity of the tomatoes prevents the potatoes from cooking. You
Wow.
need to parboil or pre-cook the potatoes if you're going to do a potato tomato casserole.
Ah,
And then the potatoes will cook. You get them like almost done because you don't want them to be, mush or something. So you got to really play with that line.
yeah.
So I told this story a couple of years back. I met Tasahara. I think April was with me, and I'm at a work period, and we're in the dining room, and we're waiting for food to come out. I no somehow they were going to serve the same. I don't know how it was, but the food wasn't served yet. And I'm sitting with some people, and I'm telling this story, and the food comes out, and it's the tomato potato casserole, and the potatoes aren't done.
Oh, wow. And you had just told that story?
I had just told that story.
Wow.
It was freaking hilarious. So yeah, it continues to happen.
Wow.
And it was one of the most embarrassing, and yet kind of, it's like failing on stage or something. I think I learned that guest cook is a performance art. It's not just a skill. You're performing in front of people,
yeah.
and and I flubbed. I forgot my lines. So
Wow. Wow.
anyway, it's a good story.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
So they shipped me up to to Green Gulch to dig to develop the water project, and I worked with Frank Kilmer and Paul Howler and other people where we went all the way up the valley and developed the spring that somebody had found, where we dug into the hillside and built a spring box and ran the pipe all the way down the valley and rented tools and equipment, ditch witches that dig ditches, these great little they're like a lawnmower that digs a ditch. It's pretty cool. And then the road crew came up for the Carmel Valley. The Carmel County, the county road
Monterey
crew came
County.
up and helped Monterey County helped rebuild the the Green Gulch driveway.
I know, that is so amazing. What was that, a private contract
amazing.
they did on the side, or?
Yeah, it's like side work, and they were wonderful guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember those guys.
And I was doing
Richard Gomez. Was the head guy.
Richard Gomez, right?
Was Henry with them then?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. There was 3, 4 guys, I think, is what.
Yeah,
they were. And they were, we were like doing the rollers and packing the stuff. It was just amazing.
I remember, knowing that happened. I thought, well, that is really wonderful. I wish, I wish I'd gone and said hello to them. I learned about it afterwards, because I would see those guys
at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say I would see those guys every year, when I lived
Yeah, right.
there.
I know. You knew them well. Right. Yeah, I didn't know him that well. That's how I got to know him. Maybe I had moved on into being work leader or something at that point. We dredged the pond. And I'm, I don't know, 23 years old. No, I'm older than that. 27. I don't know. So I'm a young man, and I'm going out to Big Four Rents and renting dump trucks and driving dump trucks down that Highway 1, up and down Highway 1, full of stuff, taking it somewhere, because we were dredging the pond, and I was picking up material for the road and bringing it back. I had no business driving a dump truck that size down Highway 1, but I was just having a great old time. So I learned plumbing, basically. I learned how to glue pipe together, and we're doing crazy stuff like I'm hanging my head down in a trench, gluing together PVC pipe with no gloves, no respirator on, and putting, heavy VOC glues and primers and stuff on, and inhaling things and putting pipe together and stuff. I remember deciding I should research this. And Jim Bockhorst and I researched it and said, this isn't good. What we're doing, this is not healthy. We need to take precautionary measures. And we started wearing masks and things. But
good for you.
But
good for you.
We did an incredible project. Paul Haller was a slave driver. He was our taskmaster at the time. And, we would sit one period of Zazen. I shared a room with Kim Patushnik and Frank Kilmer and somebody else. I don't know. There were three or four of us in a room in the Gaitan. We'd sit one period of Zazen and then change into work clothes and start working. Basically the majority of my Zen Center experience was in the do the jobs that take you out of the Zendo, the kitchen.
Hey, when you were at Tassajara, did the kitchen have a different day off schedule? Like Tatsugami
Yes.
started when I was there. He started like it was every 4 days, and everybody else was every 5 days. It'd be 4 and 9 days, so you'd be off every 5.
Yeah.
Tatsugami started every 4 days, and I can't remember if that continued. Did it?
I'm almost positive because I remember, your daily schedule was different. Like you took a bath at a different time because you had to be cooking during bath time.
Yeah.
And you had to, go early to cook breakfast. You go to Zazen one period and you go back because you had to make breakfast. Then you were off while everybody else is working. And then you're working when everybody else is off. And I remember being, on a completely different schedule. And then as a guest cook, you're on a completely different schedule too. There were 3 guest cooks and we rotated head cook, baker, and dessert cook, I think. And I don't know how it was we got a day off either, but we did. And that was, the temperature was 100 and something outside and must have been 100 and something more inside the kitchen. And I don't know how I survived that, but it was, it was an amazing thing. So then I was work leader at Green Gulch, and one time I was working. Maybe you're not going to remember this, but you were there somehow or other. So I was work leader 80. Yeah, can't read this. Maybe 81. Were you living at Green Gulch, or was it you just came there?
I in 81 I had I was living in Bolinas with Liz, but I had I remodeled actually a tack shed, where they kept saddles at Yvonne's, and it created a cabin there. And so I'd stay there quite a bit and walk down to Zazen in the morning, and every once in a while I'd be there for a little while. But
yeah, you were there a fair amount when I was work leader because I remember you at work meeting.
Huh.
And particularly one time we were having work meeting on the deck between the Wheelwright Center and what was then the library. It's now the bookstore or something like this, but there's that wooden deck area between that building that Kelly was born in, just the building that the kitchen's in. So there's that wooden deck between that building and the Wheelwright Center. And we were having a work meeting there, in a big circle.
Right.
And I'm work leader. And some newish guest student, passing through person or something, there's like, are there any announcements? And people go around and make announcements. And this guy decided to make an announcement that had something to do with how we treat animals, or, and I recall it was kind of maybe had a sense of chastising people, or, what we should be doing is, whatever. And there was a sense of discomfort in the work circle because this person was being critical or something. And there was this awkward moment of silence. And you burst in, you're at the work circle, and you burst in and walk into the middle of the circle and go, I would like to point out that this man is wearing a leather belt. And he shut up, and everybody laughed. And he receded away from his position of preaching about something, and I was able to say, okay, are there any more announcements? And you kind of rescued me
Ah,
from some awkward situation. And I just like, wow, you just went like right to something and said, okay, you've got all that to say, and you have a leather belt on. Now what? So.
ah, ah,
And then the other thing I remember is that at Green Gulch, I met and married Antoinette somewhere in there. Antoinette Artino, who had been married to Terry Gregg for a while, and um, then we got married. Richard Baker Roshi married us at Green Gulch, and we had a trailer up on the hill that we had built an addition onto to have a little nursery and little bed space for Antoinette and I, as we were anticipating the birth of, or maybe we had already had my son Lucas. And we had a huge storm that winter, like that 1 in 100 year storm that flooded the whole place.
yeah.
And, Mill Valley was flooded and all of that kind of stuff. And I have this memory of being my sleep space with Antoinette and I was like a built-in bed at the back of a long kind of hallway, kind of narrow space that we had built onto the trailer. And we were in bed, and it was, I don't know, nighttime because we were in bed. And I woke up to David Chadwick standing next to the bed above us, waking me up saying, Ted, you have to get up. We're having a flood. And it's like, what? And so I had to jump up and be work
Well,
leader.
that's
And,
1985.
is that when that was?
Yeah.
No, because I was out of there. Well, maybe it was. No, you could be right.
Well,
Lucas was born in 83.
I was
Maybe he was born in 84. I think he was
I
born in
was
84.
there from the spring of 85 to through 86. And I was in 85 I was like an interim director. It sort of the officers
maybe.
sort of
that
fell
could be what
apart and stuff. So I was involved with stuff like that. And then in 86,
yeah, you're right.
they just let me live there for free. And it was the nicest thing. And I was sort of, I was a little crazy that year.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, it was wonderful. I wrote 50 songs, man. Some of them were just, it was a great
You were
period.
living in that same room.
Yeah.
That you and Elin were living in that same room. Yeah.
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 Well, no, Daya. Daya and I had lived in that room.
No.
Right.
Daya and you lived in that room, but you and Elin.
Well, Elin and I didn't formally live there. She and I got together and trysted, and she would visit me in my room. She had her room. I mean, we weren't an official couple.
Well, I distinctly remember coming up those stairs and having you and Elin come stumbling out of the room giggling.
Yeah, well, but she was visiting me in my room. Right. And so everything was going great until Elin and I sort of fell in love. And then I became much less useful as a director. And, then when she left in December and went to Taiwan, I spent the next few months just sort of crying and writing songs. And then I started working at Greens. I got over it. And I went back to Greens, where I'd been the maitre d', and just washed dishes. But I was there then.
Yep, I remember. So I was there when the big fallout happened with Richard Baker.
1983.
I was work leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell Anna and Paul had moved in to Green Gulch.
Yeah.
Anna Hawking and Paul Hawking. And Anna would come to the work meetings and try to participate. So I actually got to know her.
Yeah.
And I spent, like I distinctly remember, like, sometimes after work meeting, I would sit with her because she was having trouble. She was having some difficulties. And we'd sit and talk. And she'd tell me about things. And so I had a kind of a feeling for the state of her relationship.
Yeah.
And so, and she was a very sweet and wonderful person. And so when I found out that she and Richard had this relationship, I had like no sense of, I guess I felt like I understood.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if I was maybe, if I was more sexy and cool and had some power and wisdom and insight, I would have slept with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, I've had in my life affairs that were illicit. And typically my experience of that was that it was not, it was like out of our control.
Yeah.
It was, the moment was like the right moment. And there, regardless of the fact that I was married or whatever, there was no stopping it.
Yeah.
That moment needed to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way, I hadn't had that experience back then, but I've had them since. So now, sort of in retrospect, it just, of course, Richard and Anna were, the moment happened.
Yeah, it was very brief.
Right?
Extremely
No,
brief.
I know that. Right, and that I understand. I'll skip to. It makes me think of something that I never really had I never had a close. Sometimes you talk about how you and Richard were walking up to the memorial site and you were talking about something. That's one of your stories that you tell. I never had that kind of a relationship with Richard Baker. I was always, Antoinette at Green Gulch was his anja. So, and I was work leader, and I got to be like in the house and stuff like that, which was a rare thing. Not a lot of students were just wandering in and out of the Abbott's house. But I never was a really, I'm kind of, in some ways I feel disappointed in the relationship that I got to have with the teacher that was there when I showed up. And I never developed another teacher afterwards, like developing a cancerous growth or something like that. But I've never developed it. But during COVID, I started listening to him giving online talks, and I wrote him an email, and I said, I'd like to come see you, and I'd like to, see you in person, have Dokes on. And I fully expected him not to respond, but he responded immediately. And he invited me to come see him in Germany. And I said, well, I'm not doing that right now. And then he said, well, I'll be in Crestone, whatever. So I made arrangements to fly down to see Frank. We drove up to Crestone, and I spent a week at Crestone, and, did some practice week with them. And during that week,
that wasn't long ago.
No, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
like
right.
Misha and Chris, filmmakers were there. You maybe know them. You've probably met them.
Yeah.
They were at the Mountain Seat ceremony. And they were there doing interviews with him. I've told you about this actually, but I'll tell it because nobody else knows. They were doing these interviews with Richard as raw footage, free flowing, talk about whatever you want. And what Chris did, which I think is genius, is he told Richard, it's all yours. All the footage is all yours. I'm not going to do a thing with it unless you tell me to. And you can edit it, throw it away, give me parts of it, whatever. But they were filming it. So that way he was completely open to talking at will about anything. And then when Frank and I showed up, Chris got, I never know what to call him anymore. So I call him Baker Roshi in front of other people, and I call him Richard sometimes, and I call him Zentatsu sometimes.
I call him Zentatsu.
He sort of goes.
I call him Zentatsu.
Yeah, Zentatsu, I think that's the appropriate name. But anyway, they got Zentatsu's permission for Frank and I to join in his log cabin. Have you been to Crestone?
Oh, yeah. More than once.
So he's got that little log cabin that he stays in up the hill a little ways.
Oh, yeah. It's not little.
Well, it's not little, but it's not humongous either. It's just a nice cabin.
Yeah.
Nice structure. And so we sat every night on the couch with him while he sat in a chair, and we were on the couch, Frank and I, while Chris and Misha were asking him questions, and he went on. And it was just, I feel extraordinarily privileged to have been invited into that circle with him, and that he would be willing to have Frank and I there. I mean, it was like, it's like sometimes he would reach over and hold my hand while he was talking about something, which was just so touching and so bonding between us. I had gone there with my intention to go there was, I kind of refined it a little bit, was 100% to express my gratitude to him as purely as I possibly could, with no need to get anything back.
Yeah.
And so that was the sort of I don't know, the crescendo of my relationship with him, which then evolved into me somehow getting included on this invitation to the Mountain Seat and stepping down ceremonies in Germany, which I really felt like somebody walked up to me in Germany and said, one of his German students, Gerhardt, or somebody that this is, one of his Dharma heirs, said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm pretty much nobody." I was the token nobody there. I mean, I never got ordained. I don't have robes. I don't have a Rakshu.
You don't have a Rakshu?
No, I don't have a Rakshu.
Did you never get lay ordained?
I never got lay ordained.
How did that happen?
Well, I looked around and I saw that people were getting lay ordained, and I didn't know how that happened. And I thought, well, if I'm supposed to be lay ordained, somebody's going to ask me to get lay ordained.
Huh.
Somebody's going to say, you should get lay ordained. My teacher should tell me, now it's time to get lay ordained. I felt like if I decided to be lay ordained or wanted to be lay ordained, I shouldn't trust that. That's just me wanting something. That's me seeking to gain something. I don't need that thing. It's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
That thing that you sew and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
the Rakshu, you mean? Yeah.
I know what it is, yes. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just felt like my entire arc of practice has been, it's like, nobody shaved my head. Hair is an interesting thing. It's kind of like hospital practice. Hair is an interesting thing. So all religions have to deal with hair. What do I do with this stuff? Well, a lot of them say, well, the thing to do is to shave it all off. And I think, my interpretation of this is that hair tends to be something that makes you feel distinguished. Like, this is my personality. This is myself. This is my,
Yeah.
am I having a good hair day or am I having a bad hair day? And should I shave it on the sides and color it pink, or should I swipe it off to this way or whatever? So because nobody shaved my head, my practice became, well, I'll take the same practice, the same idea, and adopt it. And so for years, when I was out in the world, salesman and stuff like that, I did a number 5 on the little trimmer. And everything was a number 5. Just over the head, all around the face. It was all number 5. I just same even length.
On the face too?
On the face too, yeah.
Huh.
Maybe it was a 3 on the face. Just a thin beard, just a light beard, and sometimes I would shave because it seemed like, in the business world, a little clean shaven is a little maybe more acceptable. But because I went from being a plumber to being a sales rep. But then when I retired, I looked at it again and I said, okay, well, some of the other religions, their way of dealing with it is, rather than cut it all off, don't cut it. Just let it do what it does.
That's right.
That's what the Greek Orthodox do. That's what the Muslims do. Just a lot of Indians and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I just
Rastafarians.
There's all this. Yeah, right. And now I'm starting to think, well, maybe I'm a little too attached to this, so maybe I should cut it off. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like it's a practice to deal with, the hair. You got to deal with the hair and the sense of personality, and there's an ego thing involved. And the other thing is the clothing. We wear the clothes that, match. Oh, I think I look good. I like this. Does this make my ass look fat or not? And am I skinny? Or, should I have polka dots or vertical lines? I don't know. So I started wearing samoways.
Wearing
as
what?
my uniform.
Wearing what?
Samoay. The work robes, the work outfit, SAMU or samugi, if you're using
samurai. Samurai.
Samuai.
I didn't understand. That's that's the work clothes of the monks in Japan.
Right. Samu for work. And I don't know what
A
means.
Means clothes.
Clothes. Okay. Samu A. Yes, right. So rather than decide what clothes to wear, I wear samuai.
Huh.
And that's what I was wearing when I saw you in Germany. I found that the Zen Center bookstore sold some denim samuai. And so I've bought a couple of those. Blue jeans samuai. And then I was at Green Gulch planning my trip to Germany, and I was talking to Timo and his wife, whose name escapes me. And I was saying, what should I wear when I go to Germany? And we were talking, and Timo showed me the catalog for the name. I don't remember. There's an outfit in Japan that makes the clothing. It's like the Eiheji's official clothing manufacturer.
Uh-huh.
They make the robes and all of that, and you can order them online.
Yeah.
So I ordered. I'm wearing a very nice Japanese samuai right now.
Oh, that's not obvious.
High quality.
Oh,
yeah. And so I wander around town and go to the grocery stores and stuff like that, and go to the doctors and stuff. And I've got several of them. And so I didn't get my head shaved and get robes, so I grow my hair and wear sort of roby-like things, so that I'm not making some sort of sort of statement about my personality. So
yeah, the samuai are practical. They don't have long sleeves that dangle and stuff like that. So
I
they're a
still
good
have
thing to
sitting
wear.
robes.
Yeah. Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm a former monk out in the world. And so that's the thing to wear if you're a former monk out in the world and
Yeah.
doing life. So
Yeah. That's very interesting. I sort of remember that
wow,
now.
boy, look at how the time.
It, it, I remembering seeing you in Germany. I don't remember thinking about it, but I remember it just looked sort of natural. Were they blue? What you had on it?
Good. Yeah, blue denim, Samoy.
Yeah, I can remember that. Uh,
Yeah.
and now that you tell me, I think it's interesting. I didn't think anything about it. If I remember correctly, it's just there's Ted, and then I met April,
Yeah. I
and you all had you all had a good time. I mean, and you did a lot of you visited a number of other places while you were in Germany, and now you are planning other uh, visits. Uh, yeah, you're 10 years younger than me, so when I hear you doing all that stuff, I think, no, I'm happy just to stay here. Although Katrinka and I are going to Germany, later this month for 20 days.
yeah, I know, and I really wanted to go. It's thanks to you. I've learned about red pine. I've learned. I've watched his movie. I bought the book that he talked about in your interview with him. It is this book that's a sort of a hardbound with a ribbon. It's really classy. It's called Zen Roots. It's all the sutras, the basic sutras that I'm reading of
Oh,
his. His translations are fabulous. He lives not far from me.
that's right.
Um, and I don't know if he ever gives talks or anything. I'd like to get in touch with him.
Oh, you can.
Maybe
You
we can.
can. You can.
Yeah.
He's not going to Germany.
Oh, I thought he was.
Uh, mm, I've been in touch with him recently. His son just stayed with us. Uh,
Oh, cool.
and I'm in touch with him about other things. And really, it didn't work out for him to come.
Oh,
And
aren't you going to miss? Isn't Nicole coming to the States while you're in Germany?
they'll be there. She and Zentosh will be there for 5 days while we're there.
And then they're going. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all right. That's nice. Look, it's very intense when I'm there with Richard and her and everything, and we'll relate, and that'll be good. I'm sorry they're missing my sister because Zentosh knew my sister, and she would have liked to have
Oh,
seen it. And my sister and niece are coming on the 8th of October, so they'll be there a week. But we're going to go see Vanya in Switzerland. And there's a guy named Alan Julseth. I don't know if you met him. He's an American who's been living there like 45 years or
yeah.
something, a
I don't think so.
musician. And he lives down in Constance, and we'll go see him. But yeah, I think 5 days with him is good. And then, I work there, and I continue
You do
doing
what
my
you do.
stuff.
Right.
And they're very, very
Right.
supportive. It's and they're flying us there,
I know.
which
That's
which
great.
they can't really afford. I think basically the thing with Red Pine, it was too much of a financial commitment on their part at a very transitional period, and it they weren't coming up with something that was worth it for him either, and it could be
Right.
worked out later. They love him. He has nothing against them, but it would have to be an arrangement that worked for both sides.
Well, I greatly enjoyed seeing Vanya. I stayed in his apartment in Lucerne on our way to Felsentor. Um, he's got that. You maybe know he has a little apartment that he lets people stay in.
Hey, can
Very
four
simple.
of us stay there?
Oh
My
yeah,
my huh? You,
I would think so. Well, there's three bedrooms, one of which is his office,
right.
and then the other two bedrooms, and it's really, I mean, it's mattress on the floor kind of stuff. I mean, there's nothing. It's a perfect Zen teacher apartment in Lucerne. It's just bare. But I mean,
There's no bed.
if four of you, no, there's like I said, mattress on the floor.
Hmm. But what about
There's no like,
bedding?
oh yeah, there's seats and pillows and stuff like that, but I mean, it's not like a fancy bed. It's just a very simple
I've been
mattress
there
sitting on.
because Richard was staying there, and I took a friend of mine to meet him, and that went very well. He's a neurologist and analyst who lives in Zurich, who studied with
Mm-hmm.
LaSalle for many years. The
Oh, neat.
I don't know if you know what LaSalle was. Uh,
A little
yeah,
bit.
and yeah, Balthasar, and he really got along with Richard very
Mm-hmm.
well, and he loved Johanneshof because he drove me there. Anyway, all right,
Mm-hmm.
very good, very good. You've given me an idea because I've been in touch with Vanya recently too, and
Yeah, it was great because we stayed in Lucerne, and then when we took the ferry, Vanya picked us up. We had lunch at his house, so we went up to Vanya's house to see his house, which is down the hill, down the mountain a little bit from. He walks up to Felsentor from that house. He lives in a little village called Vegas, W-E, Vegas. I don't know. So he made us some leftovers and stuff like that, and then he put us on the train, and we took the train, the cogwheel train up to Felsentor and stayed in Felsentor
uh
for 5 days, and then went up the mountain and stayed in another hotel up there. But Felsentor is just, my God, I've got to go back. It was just wonderful. And then we greatly enjoyed, we did this, we've never done this like a European vacation. We did the European vacation. And then rather than going and being tourists and stuff, we stayed in Zen places. So it was
right.
really kind of
Well, that's what I've
wonderful.
always done. That's the only thing I can afford. Uh, oh, that's right. You know, Vanya has a very nice home in Lucerne, and it has a Zendo.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it has a
Oh,
Zendo.
I tried to go to the Zendo, but it wasn't the schedule didn't work. Anyway, it didn't work.
You
But
mean
the
The
Zendo's in his
Lucerne
home
Zendo?
in Lucerne. Yeah, yeah, we were going to have
Yeah.
dinner with him in Lucerne. Oh, he invited us to have dinner with him in Lucerne and then go to the Zendo, and he's got somebody there who's in charge of that Zendo. I've forgotten that person's
Oh, I
name now.
didn't know that. I didn't know that. You know who built that Zendo?
The one in Lucerne.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Paul built the one up on Felsentor. I know that, but
No,
who,
I'm
who
trying to
built that?
remember his name. The very eccentric, outrageous Japanese carpenter who lived in Guerneville. Uh, God, I can't remember his name right now. Oh, a real character, a real serious alcoholic. And I never met a Japanese alcoholic I mean, he's just outrageous. But
Hmm.
his work is just considered the very finest. And
Well, I want to go back, so maybe I'll see it.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll remember it. He was married to Sakaguchi. I think it's
Sakaguchi.
Sakaguchi.
Okay.
Hiroshi. Hiroshi Sakaguchi.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, well,
Huh. Okay.
he did stuff for Gringos too. I think I can't quite remember. I do remember hearing that he was kicked out of every bar in Guerneville, and I mean, so unusual.
Not a distinction you want.
And also, Vanya paid him just with a bunch of money when he
Hmm.
finished, and then he just disappeared and turned up in Sweden, and he'd spent it all, you know. And
Yeah. Well, I really love the interplay now that's happening between Felsentor and Zen Center. When I went to Tassajara in April, this woman is the Eno there, and she had an accent, and so I sat down with her at a meal, and I said, where are you from? And she's Switzerland or Germany, I don't know, some European country. And I said, where did you practice over there? She said, yeah, this little place. I said, Felsentor. She said, yes. So she had come from Felsentor to come to the United States and practice at Zen Center. And the director at Tassajara right now, Ashley, her entire introduction to Zen practice was she got lost in Switzerland and wandered into Felsentor by accident.
Wow.
And ended up staying there for a while.
That's now getting lost in Switzerland and wandering into Felsentor. You way up on a mountain in the Alps.
Yeah.
I've walked that road. It's not. I think I could still walk from down below up to Felsentor. It's not that far.
I walked from this train station down with my pack and everything. And
yeah.
April had all her stuff. We had one big suitcase that we knew wasn't going to make it, so we left it at Vanya's apartment. And we walked down, and then when it was time to leave, I couldn't carry the pack, so they put the pack on. They've got a little electric cart, or not? It's not. Maybe it's not electric. But anyway, they got a little 4-wheel drive thing up and down that little path. That's not a road.
Right.
So they carried my luggage up for me, but I could walk up it, and I have a trick, which is I can do anything. I can walk anywhere with this trick, which is 20 steps and stop. So I walk 20 steps. It's actually 40 steps because I only count the right foot. So 20 right foot steps and stop and take a breath. And just 20 steps and stop, 20 steps and stop, and I can go anywhere.
Yeah, I'd be sort of at that level. I'd be at that level. I walked when I was there, not the last time because I didn't go to Felsentor the last time. So maybe when I was there 8 years ago or 9 years ago, coming from here, Richard had never been to Felsentor, and he and I drove.
Oh wow!
And met Vanya in Lucerne, and Vanya drove us, and we saw his place, and we went to Felsentor. And
how did you get to Felsentor?
We took the COG train. But that's interesting because we also saw his place. So I guess we saw his place, and then we came back down. It's right near the bottom, I guess.
No. His place is in Vegas or whatever it's called. It's a little village on Lake Lucerne. It's just that his house is like up the hill a little ways. So it's like you're in Sausalito and you wind your way up the hill a little ways on streets.
Well,
he drove us from the. Huh?
He's got a place on the way to Felsentor too.
Yeah, it is sort of because the gondola goes like right over his head.
Oh yeah, okay.
And you can walk from his place up to Felsentor if you're in good shape, which he does.
Right,
he's in great shape. But you can drive from the ferry stop at Vegas up to his house on these little windy roads all the way up to his house. And be there, and then we had lunch with him, and he showed us the little garden and the really old woman who runs everything there, and his massive walk-in, and the donkeys that take the food up to Felsentor. They load the donkeys; they have to carefully load each side of the donkey so that they're balanced and everything. He showed us this whole. It's an amazing little operation he's got going, and we had a lovely lunch with him, and then he drive us down to the next town over, which is Wiesnau, something like that, where the train station is.
Oh, and I guess that's what we did.
And then he drops us off at the train station. And then he's trundling over to buy us the train tickets, and I have to go running after him and yelling at him. I said, Vanya, stop, because I've already bought the Eurail pass, which is just like a code on your phone that you just show it to people, and you can get on any train and ferry and whatever you want. And he was trying to buy us stuff because he said, I don't do that phone thing. He doesn't know how. You know,
Yeah.
that newfangled iPhone type of thing. So I had to stop him from buying us tickets. But anyway, then that's where you get on the thing, and then you go on up to Romiti Felsentor and take the little. Did you guys walk? You must have walked down from the train station down to
I stayed
Felsentor.
there. When they said they were ready to leave, I said, I'm going to stay.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I stayed a few
You
days.
stayed in the old hotel, in one of the
Yeah.
rooms in the old hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were. It was
Yeah.
fabulous, just fabulous.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because we stayed there and we'd have meals, and then after the silent period, we'd be talking to the people that are at our table, and they'd say, well, who are you and where do you come from? And I'd say, well, I knew Vanya. I lived at Tassajara with him years ago. And people would look around and say, what's Tassajara? It's really, you guys don't know what Tassajara is. That's great. I mean, there's books on their shelves saying what Tassajara is, but in other words, there's people who come and stay there, and they're doing the practice, and they're not there because of some history thing. They're here for that practice. And and I noticed, I don't know, but not everybody was in the Zendo. So there's a community of people who are there to do the farming and take care of the animal sanctuary and all of that kind of stuff. And they're not necessarily part of some practice schedule. So I don't understand the community structure, frankly, but
Yeah.
it was a wonderful community. Everybody was very welcoming. And we participated in the work and all of that kind of stuff. And then we would have time off to go and walk around in the area. And of course, it's a beautiful area.
I walked up to the next town and
Oh, wow.
And wow, the coming back down was really the hardest. It was almost like sliding down. It was so steep. It was sort of gravelly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Anyway, well, I've managed to be yammering away for 3 hours, and I haven't really covered everything. But whatever. I think it's probably
What have you?
I've covered enough. Just enough survives, as Philip Whalen would tell you.
Yes, right. Yeah. Wow. Well, is there anything like really important that we've left out? Yeah, lots of things.
Yeah, lots of things. Exactly.
Wow. So, do you have anything in conclusion to say? Sort of tongue-tied.
Yeah. That's your standard interviewer turning point phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Tomorrow I'm taking a class with, I signed up for a class with Norman Fisher and Kathy Fisher on the third patriarch's Trust the Mind. Trust in mind. Sin Xin Ming, which we're using the Red Pine translation as one of the texts. And I because I bought the book and I read that in the book, and I saw Zen Center was offering that class. It's an online class, of course. I signed up for it, so I'm enjoying continuing the study of the Dharma and the sitting, and my Kalyana Mitra, my good Dharma friends, of which you are one.
Yeah.
The precursor to being a teacher, to having a teacher. There weren't teachers after the Buddha died. There was just Kalyana Mitras. Good Dharma buddies.
Yeah.
And it eventually evolved into the concept of a teacher. And I want to come see you. I want to visit you, but it will be a while before I can pull that off.
Yeah, well, we're here. I'm not planning on going anywhere, but We'll see.
No.
One thing I would like to get from you is a map of Tassajara. But I'll talk to you about
Oh,
that.
really?
I'd like.
I haven't sent that to you? Oh,
Well, you probably have. I don't know. I can't remember anything.
okay. Neither can I.
Yeah, I want current map. I want to figure out what the map was when we bought the place and that sort of stuff.
Oh, well, I don't know about a current map. I mean, I have some of the more recent, I have these kind of funky things that I've gathered. One day I was at Tassajara on a work period, and Galen, I don't know Galen's last name. Do you know Galen?
Yeah, sure.
Runs the Texas Zen Center
Houston.
of some kind.
Yeah.
Houston, right. She was there, and I was there doing my plumbing thing. And she said, come here. And she said, come into the office, at the time, the staff office with the computer. And she said, take all the facility stuff off of here and put it on your computer. And I said, why? She said, because they'll lose it.
That's well said.
And
she
so
understood that is Zen Center. You know?
So,
because of the lack of continuity, they'll lose
my big
it.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm continuity at Tassajara.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at it. And I'm not, not comprehensive. I mean, you put me together with Paul Disco, and I had dinner with him, which was fabulous to see him again. And that sort of stuff. It's before he moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we went to his restaurant in Berkeley. But,
Wow.
I tried to grill him on some stuff, but, we just wandered off into talking. But no, I mean, continuity is just a huge problem at Tassajara. And I've given up. I mean, I talked a friend of mine into redoing their solar system because he's a solar expert. And he lived at Tassajara. His name is Jay Peltz. And he went off after leaving Zen Center, and he became a solar installer in Humboldt County and stuff. And then I got Zen Center Tassajara. He and Frank and I went back to Tassajara, and he looked at their solar system, and it really needed to be redone. But he didn't want to have anything to do with it. He said, because they never listened to me, and they always screw it up. And
they always what? Screw it up. They always screw it up.
Screw it up. Yeah. And I said, listen, charge them the amount of money for real that it takes for you to come down. And he replaced all their batteries. And for you to do it and to do it right, give them a quote. Don't let them tell you how to do it. And if they accept your quote, and then I also talked to the guy who was at the time the current facilities guy at the Zen Center. I said, just let him do it. And he came down. He put in all the new stuff, and I said, do it the way you like. Just enjoy Tassajara, eat the food, go on hikes. You're getting paid, and you're getting fed, and you're getting put up in this beautiful place. And when you're all done, walk away and just accept the fact that it's all gonna go to hell from there. But you did what you could.
That is great.
Which is what I did with their toilets. I went down there and I said, the toilets are all screwed. They all need to be replaced. I said, I'm going to replace all the toilets. Nobody stopped me. And I replaced all the toilets. And I picked the toilets, and and it took me several years because there's 52 toilets at Tassajara. And, at first I was just doing it on my own, and then I got some people to help me. But, I finally, a few years ago, I got the last of the old EFO toilets, the Swedish toilets, the little bull knob toilets that are no longer made and you can't get parts. And I took them out of the yurts, and I got people to help me do that because you had to redo the floors and stuff to do that. Anyway, it took me 5 years, 8 years to replace all the toilets, but I just did it. I just came down and said, I'm replacing your toilets. I'm here to replace your toilets. Not a single work leader, director, or any person ever stopped me.
Yeah.
And I just did it.
You had continuity and seniority and authority.
Right.
That was established just by being there. Right.
Right.
That's really good. And my son Kelly really enjoyed seeing you when he was there.
I love seeing Kelly. Yeah, I've seen him twice now, and I hope to see him again. Is he going to be there next spring, do you think?
Yeah, yeah,
Cool. I'm
yeah,
hoping to make that trip myself.
yeah.
Yep. He
Oh, he
gave me a
loves it.
name. Did he tell you that?
What? I
He gave me a name,
I know what it is. I remember.
Mugwort.
Right. Ha ha ha.
And I have a picture of me and Daya together because he said I look kind of gnome like, and I said so does your mother, and so I have some pictures of me and Daya together.
Oh,
I'll
that's
send them to
good.
you,
Oh yeah, send
and
it. Send it.
because we're both short people, and we look a little like a couple of gnomes.
Oh, oh. She just sent me a picture yesterday of her and Kelly, like, and I was trying to forget. That could have been 30 years ago. I mean, he's an
Oh,
adult, but he's 52.
right,
He'll be
right,
52 next month. Yeah,
right.
wow. All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'll talk to
Well,
you further about these maps. One thing
sure.
is for Tassajara Stories, Peter
Hmm.
Ford and I have created, well, mainly he's created, and I've added things to it, an online support area, and one part of it is maps, and there's really no good map of
Hmm.
Tassajara back then. If I had a complete map of Tassajara that was accurate, even for today, I could show you where, because the old stuff is still there, or where there were things that got taken out.
Right.
That, but also, it would just be nice. The more maps, the merrier. So,
Yeah. Well, I could send you everything I got.
well,
I pulled them off of that computer.
yeah, I'm mainly interested in locations of cabins, and
Right.
and also I like it if anything that shows the you know that includes grasshopper flats. That's neat too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that.
Yeah, but yeah, just I don't want a ton of things. Want to select anything you think
Okay.
would be good to add.
Okay.
All right. Well, gee, this has been fun. Well, I see we've talked now for 3 hours and 16 minutes. And you know what I'll
All right.
do? I'll break it up. I'll do into 2 different weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even cover the plumbing years and the sales rep years and
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I have sent you. I have more toilet pictures to send you from Asia. Actually, I take pictures sometimes and I forget
it'd
to
be
send
interesting.
them. Uh,
Yeah, that's all right. I don't
uh,
teach classes any longer. So I used to use pictures like that for the classes I taught, but don't do that any
I
longer.
think about it. I still, there's everything here from very modern. The thing about toilets here that are superior is sprayers.
Absolutely.
To
That's
me,
worldwide.
a toilet without a sprayer is an incomplete toilet.
Absolutely.
They are a problem in. They tend to have to be replaced and stuff. They start leaking and things.
Oh yeah.
But they're
Every
definitely
bathroom,
what? Go on.
every bathroom that I stayed in. So, I took advantage of this trip to see the mountain seat ceremony. I went to Felsentor, Germany, and then I went to Spain and Italy and Greece. And I took photos of every bathroom I stayed in the entire trip, including Felsentor. And every single toilet room that I stayed in had some version of a way to to clean yourself with water.
Is that
And
right?
that's yeah, absolutely. So a bidet or a sprayer or a separate
Oh,
bidet that you could sit on with a little washing thing
yeah.
station or
Well,
whatever. So yeah,
there more and more I see here toilets that have built-in sprayers where it's not a hose.
right, exactly.
Now we have 3 toilets in this house, and they all have hoses with sprayers.
Right. You
And
sent me a picture of one of them.
yeah, and every once in a while, Katrinka and I will go stay somewhere that has a toilet without a sprayer, and
Hmm.
I just feel like they're like
What do I do?
barbarians,
Yeah.
Really. How could they do that?
I found a uh, travel bidet. It's a bottle. Like a rubber bottle, rubber because it's flexible, and it's actually there's a couple different sizes, and you fill it with water and you pull out this little wand portion of it, and you just squeeze it, and it squirts water, and it's got the wand has a little angle to it, so you can just tuck it down behind you or in front of you or whatever, and clean yourself with water by just squeezing this spray bottle.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so if you don't have one, yeah, and it's cheap and it's long lasting. It's not, it doesn't take batteries or anything. It comes in a little travel sack and you can just tuck it in your pack. It's lightweight.
Yeah.
I've shown it to the trail crew at Tasahara for cleaning yourself on the trail. There's
Uh,
people that take care of the trail. I've gotten to know those people. Betsy McGowan, you might have even known who she is. She leads that trail crew. But anyway, yeah, you can if I take it everywhere I travel because you never know if you're going to run into a place where they don't have water next to the toilet. So
my. This is
yeah,
very impressive. I didn't. I think of it so much as something Asian. Uh, mm,
it's becoming pretty U.S. oriented, but it's actually worldwide. I mean, the French are famous for their bidet,
yeah. Yeah.
so it's
Uh,
it's been around a long time, and it's a civilization. It's a civilized way of living.
yeah. Well, I think that's an excellent point to end on.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, man, it's been really good talking with you. I've been looking forward to it. And,
Thanks, David.
well, we will
I'm
continue to
I,
be in touch, I'm sure.
yep, I'm happy to contribute and continue to support you, and I hope to see you again.
Yes. And thank you for your support. And ah, until we meet again.
Until we meet again. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye.
This has been a Cuke audio podcast. I'm DC Pubov, Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from Sleepy Sanur with Dogge Bandita, Feline Manis, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.